chat to everyone, and that gives us the best chance of finding animals. We can spread out through the reserve and check different areas. So there we go, there's Dave's cloth coming flying into shot. Well, while we check the north and the east, let's go see how Jamie's endeavours around the hyena dens are going.
Good morning and welcome on our sunrise safari. It's wonderful to have you all on board once again. My name is Jamie, and this morning I have Gert on camera with me, the guy that you all know as Carrot, but his name is actually Gert. But we are on our way to check the hyena den, as Brent explained. Now, unfortunately, we had a little bit of a minor attack of the gremlins, so we haven't quite got there just yet. But we are on our way. We'll check the Gallagher shortcut and the Mvubu Road hyena den. So thank you to Chris Rogue for that update. That it seems as though, whilst most of our hyenas have moved off the property to Manuleti for now, it seems as though Gwen has been keeping true to her secretive self and been dodging us. She's obviously been somewhere between Gallagher shortcut and Mvubu Road, and all the times I've checked, she's just not been home. I have got very fresh tracks wandering south along Gallagher shortcut. I'm going to double check the hyena den there. The unfortunate thing is those cubs are so young, and because they are separate from the rest of the group, unless mom is home, the cubs won't come out to investigate us. And they've also, because we haven't been able to find them, they haven't quite got used to vehicles to the same extent that the rest of our hyena clan cubs have. But there's definitely fresh tracks here. That might, unfortunately, they're going in the wrong direction. It might be Gwen going out to look for food. Right, now of course you are all as devastated as I am that I am not wearing my magnificent pom-pom beanie. That's because I can't find it, which means I've got this particular beanie that needs constant readjustment, otherwise it looks ridiculous. But never fear, I'm sure the pom-pom beanie is somewhere. Really simple. I just am not entirely sure where it may be. I have a suspicion I might have accidentally left it in Brent's vehicle, although we couldn't find it there this morning, so we'll never know. We'll figure it out. But please don't mourn the loss of the beanie. It's not gone forever. I know you were all very attached to it, as was I. I'm sure it is here somewhere. Alrighty. Here we go. Entrance to the Gallagher shortcut. Oh, creaking rusty. Gallagher shortcut den. Let's check here first. Make sure we do a thorough inspection. Somebody was calling just before we went out on the sunrise safari. I mean, some hyena was calling as we went out on the sunrise safari. The only thing is, I can't understand why she took them all the way down to the Vuurtelepan. So I'm not 100% convinced we're going to find anything here, but it's worth checking nonetheless. Big herd of buffaloes walk through. There's dung everywhere. There's also elephant tracks everywhere. No, all is quiet here. That is sort of what I was expecting. Let's just double check this side. Means ducking under some rather low hanging branches, so everybody watch heads there. Hyenas, are you here? Are you home? No, definitely not. All is quiet at the Gallagher shortcut den. It was sort of to be expected. Just listening for a second. Nope. Nobody home. Just the silence of a winter's morning. Next, Mvubu Road den. I was still trying to work out why Chris Rogue said she went east in that drainage system. I don't know of any hyena dens further east, but that doesn't mean there isn't one. It just means we haven't found it yet. So while we do some reversing underneath the low-hanging branches, let's go back to Brent for an update.
So I've got some lioness tracks. I'm just trying to figure out how fresh they are. There's been quite a lot of elephant around here. And this is one of the main access roads in and out. So they are looking quite fresh. I'm trying to see where they go off the road. And there are some quite hard stuff here, so if I do see a nice clear track, I will show you. At the moment, it's going to be very difficult in this low light. I'm still heading straight down the center of the road. Oh, come on, where are you guys going? Oh, still there, still there. Well, oh no, that's a good place to change direction. Okay, there's last tracks. No, still coming. Oh, I'm going to have to turn around before I get a crink in my neck. Now, we've got a couple of crinks. One's that one, one's this one. That one's not a normal one for us, so try and minimize our neck crinks. Okay, let's have a look. Hopefully they don't go to the north. Okay, still got tracks going down. Where have you gone, lion? It's only looks like a single lioness. Okay. Amazing how tracks seem to disappear. Ah, no, there she went, down in Boo Boo. So I'm just going to call Jamie. Jamie. Tracks of a single lioness coming down in Boo Boo. So just have a look on your side there. Okay, yeah, the tracks, there we are, and a bit of softer sand, so we might be able to show you. Let me just get us in a good spot. How's that, Dave? There we go. Here are those lion tracks we're following. Just a single lioness. Now, could this be the one from the Buffalo's Hook Den? Or could this be the other female with the other cubs? And we're going to keep following. I guess she's going to go down that elephant path there. So we're going to loop around. And see if her tracks come out on the other side. She could have, of course, stayed on the road, but no, she didn't. And she might just take the shortcut across the corner. Oh, very upset Franklin, right where those tracks were going. So maybe she's around. I'm just going to check a little bit further along here. If not, I'm going to go take a little quick walk down onto these paths here to see if her tracks continue on there. Just make sure she doesn't come back out into the road. And she doesn't, so while I just go check some of these elephant paths here quickly, let's go see how Jamie's endeavours are faring.
Already the morning off to an exciting start. Since I'm in the vicinity, I'm going to be giving Brent a hand whilst checking the hyena dens at the same time. But I wonder, I mean, it's just a thought, it's a passing thought. I wonder whether that lioness hasn't been keeping her cubs somewhere in that region. And that in turn might have encouraged our hyena mother to move her little brood away from the area. It's just a thought, it's a passing thought. I don't know where she would have moved them to. Trying to work that one out is a little bit tricky, but we're going to try. We'll check in Vubu Road. I've checked the Philemon's Cutline Den. There's nothing there. There's no tracks going in or out. But The only other place that I know to check is Aubrey's Road, but that's in completely the opposite direction of where Chris Rogue saw them heading. We're just going to speed up ever so slightly because now I'm doing circles upon myself. I did hear the Franklin alarm calling that Brent had. And we're not far from him either. Let's just duck through this drainage. Oh, it's cold in the dips. Brr. This is definitely, I don't know, it's pretty much close to my favorite time of year to be out in the bush, particularly at this time of morning. I believe we have a suggestion as to where my pom-pom hat might be. I think that came through from Morning Glory, who suggested that the gremlins have stolen it in order to snuggle up in on this cold winter's morning. I feel as though that's an entirely plausible suggestion because I'm relatively certain I left my hat in the car. I'm convinced. Oh, no, I didn't, because I wasn't driving this vehicle when I was wearing my beanie. Oh, it must be under Brent's stuff. Must be there somewhere. Okay. We'll take a quick trip past Gallagher Pan and see whether or not there's any sign of A, the lioness, B, the hyena, or C, anything else coming across to drink. One of the few remaining water sources in this area. Ah, there we go. We've got even more of a clue as to what's happening here first thing in the morning from Chris Rogue. Whoopsie. Everybody look at the sun. We're going to keep looking that way. Let's see if we can't spot a leopard or a lion or a hyena. Got to make sure you check everything on your right-hand side. Right, Chris Rogue has said that this morning she heard soft contact calls on the dam camera from a lioness. So perhaps our lioness moving her cubs, and of course we've got the prospect of at least 2, probably 3 Nkuhuma lionesses, definitely 3 lionesses with cubs. We didn't know, we knew where one was hidden in that drainage line around Buffelshoek Dam, but perhaps there might be others around. All very mysterious. I'm just checking this area very carefully for tracks. In case she is. So the Nkuhumas, there's a whole... This is why the hyenas like this area. It's why Karula used to like this area before the hyenas and the lions moved in. There's a whole river system that runs throughout this particular area. It's a sort of series of interleading what we call drainage lines. Our drainage lines are basically places where the water has cut away at the earth and left steep areas where there's plenty of cover, plenty of vegetation cover, plenty of rocks and crevices, and it makes for a really lovely spot for the animals of Djuma to hide their little ones. Our Brent's just trying to get hold of me. I think he wants me to help him check. Standing by. Oopsie. Brent, I'll probably go south from there. I'm just checking Gallagher Pan now. I've done a loop, but I'm heading on to Mbubu now. Copy. Apparently there were contact calls heard on the dam camera early this morning, around 4ish. Copy that. I'm going to quote Brent here. He says, tracks of that lioness go into the drainage line around, or just go into the drainage line around or just opposite Mvubu Road, and that he has decided that perhaps discretion is the better part of valor first thing in the morning. What that means, and that is 100% understandable, is we don't know what the Nkuhuma lionesses are like with their cubs. Some lionesses in areas actually are absolutely fine. If you stumble upon them, they give you a gentle growl, and that's the end of the story. You back up, and that's the end. But I think he feels if he goes wandering in there now, there's a chance that she's going to come barreling out of the bushes at what will feel like 100 kilometers an hour. It won't be, but it'll be pretty close. 20 meters per second, 60 feet per second, with a rumbling sound equivalent to a Harley Davidson starting up. And I promise you, we are wide awake enough in the morning as it is. We don't need that extra shot of adrenaline to kickstart our day. So we'll check carefully around here, but I think that Brent has decided a deep wandering into the impossible drainage line systems, and I know how thick it is there, perhaps is not the way he's going to go about his morning. But you don't have to take my word for it. You can hear it from the man himself. Over to Brent.
Well, yes, no, I've tracked many lions into lion dens in my life, and there's a very simple rule. You don't want to do it early in the morning, and you don't want to do it late in the evening. So if you are thinking that there might be this is a pride, now there's one going the other way. Interesting. But as I was saying, you want to do it sort of at about the hottest time of the day when the lions are least active. That is one way to sort of keep yourself intact in one piece. Okay, so I just want to have a quick look here. Okay, so out of these tracks, the freshest tracks actually look like they're heading back away. Well, let's keep on the ones that are staying on the road and out of drainage lines for now. Standing by. Almost trying to look down the road, see if there's a lion up ahead. There she is there, walking on the left-hand side of the road. I mean, there's just lion tracks everywhere at the moment. Now, these are from earlier last night. I can tell that because of the darkness around them, sort of condensation overnight. Now, where's the... Oh no, she's left the road, the other one. But we have a look there. You can see early last night before the morning dew. Now the other lioness is going the other way. The more fresh tracks look like they've ducked off to the east here somewhere. Okay, I'm just trying to figure out which one's more fresh. The one going that way. I'm just trying to find one track on top of another. Yes, no. These definitely seem more fresh, the ones heading to the east. Now, apparently there were contact calls heard around the Djuma cam last night. So, Jamie's going to check in that area while we continue to head east. Still got one female heading back towards Buffelshoek Waterhole. Maybe it's the mom. Went out for a forage, had some food and went back to the little cubs. There she is. On top of the elephant track, so that's a good sign. Ooh, down in these dips is very chilly. Drops a degree or two as we go down into these little river systems. Yeah, so I know Jamie's been in search of an active hyena den. Let's see how that search is going.
I'm afraid to say that the search is not going all that well. Very sadly, and sort of predictably, the Mvubu Road hyena den is quiet apart from several contact calling Franklins. Anybody home? Nope. No fresh tracks coming in here either. Where, oh where, is the lovely Gwen hiding herself? I'm running out of ideas. She might just not be home. She might have moved them to the Gallagher shortcut den or to this den, and she might be out foraging, scavenging for whatever she can find, and she's left the cubs safely ensconced in the den itself. It's just a matter of, we just have to keep checking, I think, at this point. I know all of you are really keen, as am I, to find out where she's gone. But she's not home today. We'll just have to keep trying. Don't worry, I'm committed to the cause. We'll see if we can't figure out where she may be. Okie dokie. So, Gwen's not here. Aha, so we have a potential solution as to where my beanie has gone, and you were all full of marvellous suggestions this morning. Thank you. I'm surprised there hasn't been a suggestion that a bird of prey flew off with it. That was my first thought. But Pinchy Winer's hat, good morning and welcome to the Sunrise Safari as we bump our way out of the hyena den. You've suggested, you've said that Gwen was wearing it. Gwen the hyena was wearing it in order to disguise herself, to move her cubs safely to a different den site. Certainly no one would recognize her in that hat. It is a marvelous method of disguise. That beanie has certainly become quite the character on the show. Right. Well, thank you, Pinchy Winer's hat. Perhaps we'll have to find Gwen in order to relocate my beanie. We'll have to check the den sites more carefully. Somehow I feel, all sort of absurdisms aside, I feel as though that beanie would not last very long in the jaws of a hyena. There was one very, very funny moment where I was with Dave. We were following the Nkuma lionesses, and we came in through this block, and the hyenas had chased them off a buffalo kill. There was much growling, and it was an incredible sighting, absolutely amazing. In all of the chaos, Dave accidentally ditched the cushion that he was sitting on. But the unfortunate thing about that was that it was Brian's pillow that he had been sitting on, and he had dropped it, and the hyenas were determined they were going to go and tear it apart. Dave was most concerned that he was going to have to explain to Brian that he'd accidentally given his pillow to the hyenas of Djuma. Fortunately, we were able to get close enough and rescue it before they grabbed it. But it was one of the most concerning moments we've had while we've been driving out here. Hyenas do enjoy exploring absolutely everything they can find. Now, of course, many of you will be acquainted with Ronald the Rover. Now, I'm uncertain as to my feelings about Ronald's name. I'm not sure. I feel as though Ronald is a truly reflective. Anyway, we'll move on from Ronald the Rover. Ronald the Rover is a little rover that has a camera attached to it and can drive around into different places via remote control. Now, the first and only time I ever drove Ronald the Rover, I parked it underneath a marula tree. A big bull elephant came around, kicked it over, and that was the end of my rover driving days. And then poor Alex Voss has to fix it. At least, though, I didn't drive it into the dam, which did happen. But Shamson was wondering, would we ever drive the rover into a hyena den to have as a sort of a little reconnaissance mission? We would love to. We would absolutely love to. I can tell you, though, that would be the end of Ronald. And I don't mean just a few minor repairs here and there. It would be the end of Ronald. Ronald would be thoroughly chewed up. The GoPro would have vanished. Bits would be flying. The tracks would be ripped apart. It's the same reason why Brent doesn't want to put up his camera traps without big steel boxes to protect them. Hyenas, as I said, have a certain curiosity about them, and that curiosity usually translates into exploration via teeth. And Ronald would be crunched. So yes, we would absolutely love to, but I think that the reality is we can't afford to replace Ronald each and every time it gets chopped. It would make for some incredible footage, though. If you could recover the SD card from the GoPro itself, after digging through a little bit of hyena scat, if it survived the digestive system of the hyena, not much does survive the digestive system of a hyena, but if it survived, we would have some amazing footage to share with you all. Or we wouldn't have any footage at all. It might just be a sort of gentle drip of saliva and then black. Okie dokie, we're bumping our way away from the hyena dens. We have to move on from our search for hyenas for now. I think we're going to head across to Cheetah Plains and see how the day goes. But while we head across in that direction, Brent has arrived at the lion den.
Well, we're not going to stay very long. Mom's not here. I just thought she might be on her way back with that one set of tracks coming this way. There are the three little creatures, all cuddled in a ball for warmth, and still in that little thicket there. So not the best views just yet, but they are growing so quickly. Hey, little ones. Look at that. They are so cute. But we're not going to stay, as I said, Mom's not here. So we're going to leave them be. Okay. So I did see some male leopard tracks up on the road. So I'm going to go see where those went. But I think it could be Mr. Djuma in this area. Okay, let's leave those little cubs. Hopefully one of these days when we come here, Mom's going to be lying out in the open. We're going to get an incredible view, but it's worth checking every morning. Now this is an evil little branch. Yesterday morning in the cold, it smacked me on the tips of my fingers, and I'm not making that mistake again. Ha! Success. Now, Gary says it looks like a big storm's been through this area, and with all the trees that have been knocked down and that. Gary, those are elephants that have done that, not a storm. We have had a storm in a very long time here. We're in the middle of a drought. So, no, that's just elephants feeding. A lot of people like to call it elephant damage. I don't call it elephant damage. It's elephant activity. Now, when elephants push down a tree, it creates homes for scorpions, spiders, borer, beetles, lots of other little creatures. So, not elephant damage at all, but elephant activity, and a very important part of the ecosystem. I just need to be on the game drive for a second. I've checked in on the Ngala Den. My fuzzy is not there. Zoning the area, leaving it. There's also Wanuna, Ingwe and Konzo at the large Jackalberry Buffelshoek cut line opposite Buffelshoek Dam. I'm going to follow up, see where they go. Okay, now this could be Mr. Djuma, which means he might have crossed to the north. I've got his tracks here. I had his tracks there. Yeah, there his tracks. They're not going, oh, don't go that way. And there's the next one. Let's have a look. Did he cross? Oh, there we go. Unfortunately, not that one. That one there. Okay. I'm going to try to show you. It's quite a difficult track. Okay. Here we go. Oh, I'm too close. I'm too close. Oh no, but he came back out. Don't worry. He hasn't crossed. He's come back out. He's back on the road. Now, of course, leopard tracks are a little bit harder to follow than lion tracks, just due to the fact that leopard are a little smaller. And also, solitary. So you never, if you get tracks of multiple leopards, it's either a female and cubs, or it is a mating pair. Now this is just tracks of a single male. And maybe he's going to head towards the Buffelshoek Dam, who knows. At the moment, he's still heading straight west. As I said, this area, it's probably Djuma. So we're going to keep on these tracks. Hopefully they don't cross to the north. While we do that, let's go see how Jamie's morning is going.
So while Brent, the great cat tracker, tries to track down this male leopard, we're heading south and I think onwards towards Cheetah Plains. Unfortunately, it does take us into what is indubitably the coldest place on Djuma, which is Twin Dams Road, because it sits right next to the biggest river system on the property. It is very cold, very, very cold down here. We're going into the dip, which is even worse. My fingers are starting to hurt. And a very warm welcome. One of my favorite questions to get each and every drive is this safari, live safari, really real? Well, Alex A., welcome on our sunrise safari. We are as real as it gets. Probably the most real way to watch wildlife television, if we could even call it that, around the world. So absolutely, we are a live and interactive safari experience, which means that you can send through your questions on #SafariLive on Twitter, or you can email through to questions@WildEarth.tv. And Alex A., I really hope that you stick with us, because there are so many amazing things for you to see out here, so many characters for us to introduce you to. And the wonderful thing about it is that we are on every day, twice a day, for 3 hours in our morning, 3 hours in our afternoon. The best time to see game out here in the Sabi Sand, which is a place that is the most famous for game viewing. And it really, I promise you, it really is for real. The magnificent thing about the concept of Safari Live, as we slowly dodge hypothermia through the dip, is that it is completely live, which means we cannot edit. We certainly do not script. The animals write their stories for us, and we follow along and hopefully try and find them for you to bring you those stories. Definitely the rawest, most reflective way to watch wildlife. The next best thing to sitting on the back of a real live safari vehicle. And you have the added advantage that you don't have to wrap up in 10 million blankets and sort of shiver your way along, and the wind chill factor. So welcome to Alex A. We'd love to hear where you are from. We always enjoy hearing where our different viewers are watching from. We've got people in Fiji, New Zealand, America, Canada, the UK, Europe. It's amazing how far the reach of Safari Live extends. It's interesting that Brent commented on the mess that the elephants had made, because I was just mentioning that to Gert as he did, the fact that there are elephant tracks absolutely everywhere, but where are the elephants? Where have they all decided to disappear off to? I'm sure Brent mentioned that an elephant at some point last night blocked our driveway almost completely, ridding us of a buffalo thorn that has forever caught onto clothes and so on whenever we've driven past it to go into our main camp. That buffalo thorn is no more. I'm actually quite sad about it. I quite like that buffalo thorn, but it is definitely gone. And T. Smith, as we drive along in the middle of our dry season, and I see my beanie is attempting to slowly creep its way up my head, you say that the landscape looks almost lunar at the moment. It is a very good description. It is so dry out here. Let's go see what those hornbills are doing. Hold on, sorry, we'll get back to that. What's up, hornbills? Why are you squawking? What is going on here? Goodness gracious. We have stumbled upon what looks like a relatively vicious argument between two hornbills. I can't tell if they are stuck together or if I think that's two males fighting. Oh, it's definitely two males fighting. Look at that. When last did you see a hornbill fight? Sizing each other up. Incredible. Yes, we've got a third onlooker coming to make sure that the fight is fair. Oh, they look so angry. I mean, hornbills look angry at the best of time, but look at these two. They look positively furious with each other. Oh, are we going to go again? Are we going to go again? They're all males. All three of those are males. Oh, and we're back in. Oh my goodness. Look at that. The one on the right has managed to hold the beak closed. Oh, they've separated again. This is incredible. Pile of feathers. This is actually quite a vicious fight. And hornbills, you don't often see them fight together. They very often... Oh, they're now watching the third one with trepidation. Everybody's on edge. They often fight their own reflection in windows, but I've never seen them properly have a go at each other like this. Oh, I'm going to take advantage of your distraction and grab some food. I know that they're males, first of all because they're fighting. Generally the female birds don't compete as savagely, but also because of their bills. They're much thicker and more solid than that of a female yellow-billed hornbill. Oh, they all look like really grumpy men. You know the sort that walk into a bar or a pub and are just looking for trouble? That's what these guys look like to me. Troublemakers. Oh, are we at peace now, or what's happening? Have you ever seen such a furious-looking face? What is happening here? It appears that, by whatever rules, the fight has been decided. It seems to be over. The challenger on the right has calmed down. Oh, hold on. I wonder if it was maybe just a squabble over food. Maybe. Unlikely, though. Hopping around looking very intimidating. That's a leaf. That's a leaf, buddy. That's not going to be very nice. And the winner has made off with his trophy, closely accompanied by the onlooker, and the challenger has moved off. I have no idea what that was about. These two seem to be part of the same team, sort of. Perhaps a juvenile that is now fully grown on the right seems to be following behind the one on the left. And hornbills do that. They stick around with their parents. Sorry guys, I do have to be on the Game Drive channel for 1 second. Brent is trying to call me. Never mind, I'll just wait my turn. So the juvenile hornbills, yellow-billed hornbills, will stick around with their parents. They'll even help to raise the next generation. It's known as cooperative breeding, and it's quite common in the hornbill family, in the woodhoopoe family, and so on. Megan, in Ottawa, I'm also really glad they didn't get stuck. Bear with me 1 second. I'm just going to... Brent is now trying. If I don't respond to him, I'll miss my chance. Standing by. Copy that. I didn't check Gari Cutline. I might do that. I'm on Twin Dams now. There were no tracks coming out of Mvubu. Brent's just letting me know that it looks as though the Nkuhumas are back on our property. Megan, you're absolutely right. That was so cool. But I am glad they didn't get stuck. It seems to have been decided relatively quickly and with a minimal amount of violence. Just by the way, that is a red-billed hornbill and not the yellow-billed that we were watching earlier. Slightly smaller, and obviously, as the name suggests, with a red bill. The one bird fight we did see live, was a fight between two fork-tailed drongos. Now that was absolutely incredible, that particular, and that turned truly savage, which is why I was watching this fight with a bit of trepidation, just wondering whether or not things would actually take a turn for the worst, because they can grip onto each other very, very harshly. And that fork-tailed drongo fight that we witnessed, the two birds were locked together, and at one point, we were actually worried that the victor was going to kill the loser. So this fight that we've just witnessed was very interesting. Different species of bird. Drongos tend to be a bit more aggressive. But we always see the hornbills bashing their reflection whenever the sun hits a window wrong. They go and they sit on the windowsill and they thunk. Because they're not the brightest birds, so they don't realize that they're looking at a reflection rather than another hornbill, a challenger. So it's interesting to see them actually getting it, at least finding a true form, a real-life opponent. I'm going to go follow up on those tracks that Brent said he had, because things have changed. So we might not get to Cheetah Plains just yet. I have to go back on myself. While we go and investigate, let's hear what his plans are.
Okay, so Dave just lost his hat, and I'm in a rush. And there's a lot of alarm calls around where Herbie's been following Shadow and her cub track around Triple M, so I'm rushing there at the moment. Oh, it's very chilly at this speed. Hopefully Dave doesn't lose his cap again. No good, he's sensibly taking it off so he doesn't get shouted at again. So always check. Oh, another dip. Another little cold spot. So unfortunately, that male leopard we're tracking went into Buffel's hook. So that's why we decided to go give Herbie and Aubrey a hand following up on Shadow, and then all of a sudden they're saying alarm calls all over the place. Da-da-da. So increased our speed somewhat to get into that area to help them. And we're nearly in that area. Okay, we're here. Saying good morning to the Sabi Sands. So it's a little bit further down Triple M here. So I've got a little bit more racing to do. And while I'm racing, let's go see how Jamie's doing.
Oh, poor Dave. He must be clinging on for dear life. Hopefully his hat is returned to him once again. We're going to go and investigate those tracks that Brent found in a moment. I just want to see something quickly. I've got hyena tracks here and I thought I saw tiny little ones. Just bear with me 1 second. Just want to see whether or not I am right. No, I think it's hyena tracks combined with little civet tracks. I had the sudden thought that perhaps Gwen bought her cubs this side. No, sorry. I am mistaken. It is not little baby hyena tracks, it's big hyena tracks combined with civet tracks, I believe. It would have been in the right spot for her. And I'm sorry, the cold has made my nose run and making me want to sneeze. So my apologies for that if there's a sudden and surprisingly explosive sneeze from my general vicinity. It's not just me though, Kat also looks as though his eyes are watering a bit. It's so cold in this drainage. Okay. Let us go and see about the lioness tracks that Brent found while he goes and follows up on the alarm calls of Shadow. Yesterday evening, Brent offered me cat finding lessons. And hello to Chris Roundtree. It is marvellous to have you on board. You're obviously a new viewer and are wondering why our car doesn't have a roof. Because we don't need one. Essentially, this is the best way to experience the African bush. Yes, it's a little bit chilly. We've got the wind chill factor moving about. But imagine if we had a roof restricting our extraordinary view of the beautiful surroundings. Now, I think the next question that stems from that is, for new viewers are often concerned about us being in an open vehicle in the proximity to the wild animals. And it's just an important thing to remember that these animals have been born and raised in an environment where open safari vehicles are as much a part of their landscape as the trees and the termite mounds. Yes, okay, not quite in that we move and that the vehicle makes a little bit of a noise, but essentially they are very, very used to our presence. And the second thing to remember there is that we are absolutely not on anything's menu. Nothing out here is actively going to set out to harm you. The only time that accidents happen is where people have made mistakes or where the animal is feeling in a particularly bad mood, it feels threatened, frightened in some way, and it responds by being aggressive. And 99.9% of the time that can be avoided by reading the animal's behavior and watching what they're doing and the signs that they are giving you. So even for the big cats, you might, if you ever happen to find yourself upon safari, you might be told that the animals don't realize that we're in the vehicle. They don't recognize that there's a human being in the vehicle. They don't see the outline as a human being. I don't think that's true. In fact, it's not even I don't think that's true. I know that is not true. I know that I have had anything from a lion to a leopard to an elephant look at me in a vehicle. Not at the vehicle, at me, or at the cameraman. There is no way on earth you can convince me that animals do not realize there are people in the vehicles. They're just not concerned. We are not a threat to them. Animals have had thousands of years of evolution telling them that an upright human being walking is a threat because they might be hunted. They've had 50 years of evolution, and you can't describe it in those terms. 50 years of experience where vehicles have been driving in their lives. Okay, let's say 100 years of experience in that way, and they don't see the vehicle as a threat with human beings in it. If I were to get out and walk, it's a different story. And even then, it's just about being cautious, being aware of your surroundings. And aware, for example, of the fact that my hat is attempting to make its way off my head. My goodness me, it is a morning of new viewers. And Patrick Vang is not a believer. Patrick Vang is a cynic and does not believe that this is live. Patrick, I am thrilled to inform you that you are incorrect. It is actually live. It is 100% live. What you are seeing on your screen is happening in real life in the middle of the African bush. I promise you it's live. And if it weren't live, we definitely weren't able to predict perhaps your name and your cynicism. So Patrick Vang, it is live, I promise you, and it is marvelously exciting, and we are thrilled to welcome you on board our live safari. It is the only place in the world where you will find a live safari that happens twice a day, every day. Isn't that marvelous? I once had a viewer, we in summer we go out very, very early, and we go out in the dark. We start the safari in the dark, and it slowly gets light. And we once had a viewer convinced that they had caught us out because we'd started the drive in the dark and then it was sunny again. So they somehow managed to convince themselves that we'd edited it somehow, forgetting, of course, about the Earth's rotation and the fact that the sun rises in the morning, even in South Africa. Right. Let us look for... goodness me, Chris Rogue and our other hyena lovers. Our hyenas have been everywhere. They may have moved their den site, but there are just hyena tracks absolutely everywhere in this place. I wonder if those lionesses didn't make a kill in there. And that might be, I don't know. Let's find out. Let's try and puzzle this out. And I wonder if those Franklin that Brent heard alarm calling earlier weren't letting everybody know that there were lions in the vicinity. So Patrick, I do hope you stick with us, as for all of our new viewers, because hopefully we have lions to anticipate and a leopard to anticipate. All kinds of exciting things out here to see. But otherwise all the animals have gone into hiding. I think they're having a morning lion on this chilly morning. They've decided, nope, they're all going to cuddle hidden away in the bushes. Except for those hornbills, of course. Those hornbills started off the morning on an aggressive note. Right. Now, sometimes if the animals are not walking casually along the road, we do have to get out and go and walk to find them. Brent would just like to explain what it is he's going to do. So let's head across to him.
So the last tracks of a female leopard and her cub go into this thicket off to the east of me. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to leave Dave to guard the car, and I'm going to jump off and I'm going to walk along one of the big elephant paths, see if I can hopefully find her or find tracks to which direction she is going. So I'm going to be off the vehicle for a little bit. So while I do that, enjoy your time with Jamie. And Dave's going to enjoy his time basking in the sun and trying to warm up after we rushed to get you. So we'll see you a little later.
Poor Dave probably needs a little bit of time spent defrosting after a race around the bush. Perhaps Brent will be kind enough to give him his hot water bottle while he goes for a walk. Okay, now despite my best efforts, we're still not anywhere near Cheetah Plains. In fact, I haven't gone very far beyond where I started this morning. We are back around the Voyatella Dam, searching for lions. Oh, sorry, there's the sneeze. There it is. It's cold and dusty. My apologies for that. I know I have a mic on, so that can't be entirely pleasant for all of you. Okay, so while Brent goes walking, you guys can all help me see if we can't find these lions. They seem to really be... Oh, I found something else. They do seem to be really enjoying this particular block, and of course it's the most difficult one in all of Djuma. Something very large. Finally, there you guys are. Let's wait for them to come to us. I know it's not the best view for now, but we've got a lovely herd of elephants. Oh goodness, definitely a hay fevery morning. Oh, and this lovely herd is quite a big herd. It is going to slowly make its way towards us, which is perfect. The best way to approach any elephant is not to approach them at all, but instead to pop yourself in a position where they are coming to you. Basically, that leaves the choice up to them as to whether or not they come a little bit closer. Hello, big girl. There's some yummy sickle bush there. Not really to my taste, but apparently to hers. It's got huge thorns, but the mouth of an elephant is totally impervious to them. The one on the left appears to be frozen in action. Oh, there we go. Got some movement. Sometimes it seems as though elephants kind of get caught up in a daydream. They freeze sort of mid-mouthful. Beautiful. There's nothing like seeing elephants in the morning sunlight. Now, whilst we all enjoy finding the bigger cats, for me, one of the greatest pleasures is to encounter elephants. Recently we've had elephants pretty much every single drive, even if it's just a passing glance in their direction. And there's just something about them that is guaranteed to put even the grumpiest person in a very good mood. Especially the little ones, like our little 3-year-old calf there on Mommy's right. Well, it's actually Mommy's left, on our right. Munching away wherever she has fed. There we go, have a look at that. And welcome to Michael, who is 18 years old, been listening to what Brent was chatting about the elephants clearing an area, pushing over trees, and was wondering if there's ever a time that elephants do too much damage. Fortunately not where we are, Michael, but you are absolutely right, they can do that. So elephants are known... Hello. Aren't you gorgeous? Elephants are known as what we call keystone species. In other words, they can shape the landscape around them. Oh, we're being naughty. Stop it. I'm just sitting here. Don't be full of nonsense. Hey, big girl. Come now. Come now, we're not doing anything. Ah, yes. Keep walking. Keep walking. Bye-bye. Shame. It's all right. It's okay. Here we go. Yes, you munch on that buffalo thorn. Sorry, Michael. I'll get back to your question in a moment. I just want to explain that. I want to explain that behavior because we're about to see it again. When you see that sort of behavior from the cows, it is them making sure that we know that they are bigger than us, stronger than us, and that... Hello, big girl. Hold on, I'll explain this in a moment. Hey, gorgeous. I see you. It's okay. It's okay. She's going to look at us. No threat. All right. Hey, big girl. Cool. So, when you see that sort of behavior from a male, especially a male of that size, of the first female that came up to us, that's cheeky. That is, I am coming into my sort of hormonal teenage stage. I want to come and intimidate, pushing their boundaries, learning where their boundaries are, and basically trying to be big and scary like a teenage boy, or like some teenage boys, not all teenage boys, of course. So no offense meant there. But when you see it with the cows, it's slightly different. The cows tend to be not more nervous, but they don't do things as much for fun or to try and intimidate people. It's very much a clear protective role that they assume, even with a teenager like that female was. So she's young. When she first came up to us, she approached us. She felt not nervous, but she wanted us to know that she was keeping an eye on her. So it was just making herself look big and scary and making sure that we know that we must behave. And we will, of course, naturally. We're totally respectful of that. They're speaking to us. It's up to us to learn their language in their home and understand what they're saying. So this little one, too scared to come and approach us directly, to come past us, but it wants to go and join the rest of the herd. So it's going to join up with the young bull and enjoy a bit of safety in numbers. It's okay, little one. Here you go. Being ferried to safety behind us. And here comes the straggling member of the group. So what I said about us being there for them to approach us, because they've approached us, I know that I feel comfortable in this situation. And so do they, actually. There's nothing here that says these elephants are frightened. They're just reminding us how big they are. All right, big girl. Or choosing to cross behind the vehicle rather than in front of it. Right, so Michael, back to your question. Elephants, keystone species. In other words, yes, you're very big and scary. It's okay, I see you. I'm not going to do anything. Don't worry. I wonder if they're being pushed by a bull. I have a funny feeling they might be. I think they might actually being harassed by a big bull elephant, and I think that's him. Here we go. That's why our elephant herd is a little bit upset and constantly moving. Is he in must? No. So that's the first thing that we look for. Sorry, Michael. I keep getting interrupted when I answer your questions. My apologies. I'm just paying close attention to what's happening here. And we've got an explanation behind our elephant's slightly upset behavior. Right, here's what he's going to do. He's very keen on the ladies, but he wants to come and intimidate us. So he's going to come, he might give us just a sideways glance, or he might come and be a bit more intimidating. Hello, boy. Oh, ladies, too much of a distraction, huh? Not even bothered by the vehicle. I'm just going to keep an eye on him, just because sometimes bulls, being clever animals, like to pretend they're not interested and then come back. But I don't think that's the case this time. I think that he is far too interested in the prospect of passing on his genetic material. Okay, cool. Let's reposition slightly now that they've moved away from us. Right, poor Michael's question. Oh dear, this beanie's ridiculous, isn't it? Keystone species. Now about the fourth time I've tried to say this. So what that means is if you have too high concentration of elephants in a small area, they will and can and will convert a woodland to a grassland. So it's not something that we need to worry about in our enormous 8.5 million acre property, 4 million hectares in size. It's vast, and the population basically controls itself. So the bigger the area that you're in, the less you need to interfere or manage it in some way. I'm trying to find a nice position for these eddies. Bear with me. We might need to do another U-turn. But in smaller reserves, in closed systems, the numbers of elephants do have to be controlled, because otherwise, yes, absolutely, they can do far too much damage. In certain places like here, clearing away the trees, generally hello, elephant bull number 2. Goodness, I wonder if there isn't a female in estrus coming through. Hello, a big boy. So in closed systems, they have to manage the area, manage the elephant population. Oh, he's magnificent. He's going to go and join the females. So let's watch them from here. They will manage their elephant populations, usually by moving the elephants around to other reserves, or else contracepting them. There's different methods of contraception. And that can be done in a way that doesn't interfere with the elephants in a massively negative way. But it is one of those sad facts of life. We've closed off their migratory routes. We've stopped where they would normally have gone centuries ago, when resources were limited. And so, as a result, we have to then manage the impact that they have, because it's about the rest of the animals as well. It's not just about the elephants. So a perfect black rhino habitat, for example, a woodland where a black rhino might want to hide, could be converted into grassland and therefore made more tricky by an elephant herd constantly impacting that area. So yes, they do have an impact. They do indeed have an impact on the area that they're in. But they can also be an incredible force for good, and of course bear in mind that this landscape has evolved with elephants. So the way that the landscape, the ecosystem works, it all ties in together. It ties in with the elephants themselves, it ties in with the various other bulk grazers, anything like that. This is the way it's meant to be. And elephants actually maintain the balance between the woodland layer, so the trees, essentially, and the grasses. Because if there's too many trees, the grass won't grow. If there's too much grazing, the grass doesn't stop the trees from growing and you get bush encroachment, and so on and so forth. Our Ellies are playing hard to get this morning. There might be a little bit of a scuffle between these two boys. There's a bit of posturing. Quite a nice view we've got here. They're going to keep following the females up the road, so we'll just settle for this view. And I sometimes like to watch elephants from a distance because you get an overall view of their behavior as they wander up the road. Here's their big female, and here come the two bulls. They have been pushing the herd a little bit. Oh! See? Female's not happy. Here you can see they're putting pressure on her. The bull going to have a quick sniff. Now is he going to put his trunk in his mouth? No. So she's not in estrus or coming into estrus, but they just had to check. You know, if you're an elephant, I guess it pays to be sure. We're going to move on for now because this is a very thick area and the elephants are being constantly pushed by the males, so they're not going to stick around. But it gives us a lovely opportunity as we do the drive in reverse once again. It gives us a lovely opportunity to answer Felicity's question about tuskless elephants. And yes, I will tell you more about them with pleasure. So a tuskless elephant, for those of you who haven't seen any, is a naturally occurring phenomenon. It is a genetic, you could call it a fault, it's a genetic difference to other elephants that basically means that the elephant never grows tusks. So it's not that they've been broken or removed, that elephant will never grow them. Kind of like some people grow wisdom teeth and most people have wisdom teeth and some people don't. It's something similar to that. It occurs naturally in about 4% of all elephants if you take an average around the world. Unfortunately, as human beings, we have in certain parts of Africa, I say we, that's a bit generic because of course none of us either driving around showing you these things or watching have played a role in the destruction of Africa's elephants, but human beings as a species have actually selected for tuskless elephants, artificial selection essentially, because of poaching. Because a tuskless elephant is not valuable, so they don't get poached, therefore it favors that genetic line. So Felicity, how do they eat? Pretty much, it's not a disaster for them. They can live just as long as the normal tusked elephants. They just change the way that they eat ever so slightly, so they might be less fussy about picking off the bark, or what they might have learned to do is to, you know how, because what elephants often use their tusks for in terms of feeding, the main purpose is to go and to scrape the bark off the tree and pull off the cambium layer. That's the main use of an elephant tusk in feeding. So what the elephants will do is they'll wait until one of the other members of the herd has broken through into the cambium layer, and then they will move up and start stripping with their trunks. They can still gather leaves and eat them. They can still gather branches and eat them. They might not have anything to lever and to break, but it just means that their trunks will have learned to coordinate in a different fashion. The bulls might have a little bit more of a hard time, because the tusks, although the tusks are not necessarily the be-all and the end-all of a fight, male-on-male fight. It's mainly the use of the size and the strength of the elephant and the top of the trunk and the base of the forehead that they push against each other, but tusks do play a role and can be used in fighting, so you might find that a tuskless male elephant will be at a slight disadvantage when it comes to competing for mates. But that in turn, the birds are full of nonsense today. The orioles are having a fight now. I'm going to try and show you, but jeepers, they're not sitting still. Oh, well, gone. Bye. Darn. Hold on, let's see if they come back. It's two black-headed orioles having a fight, but they're being impossible. They're moving so fast that there's no way that poor Gert could possibly get them on camera. Let's just wait and see if they come back. No, they're now gone completely. Sorry, everybody. Would have been exciting to watch. There is a tuskless bull that hangs around. He comes through here, he comes through Cheetah Plains. He's absolutely enormous in the prime of his life. Last time I saw him, he was happily associating with the rest of the herd. And he's really nice. He's a good-natured bull. I don't know, just sometimes you get an impression for an elephant's personality or nature. He'll come up, he'll have a sort of benign look down onto the vehicle, and then off he goes once again. It's the elephants with the shortened trunks that have more of a difficult time feeding. It takes them longer, and it is a bit more of a struggle for them. Hello, Nyala. I'm trying to gauge by the animals' behavior around here where those lions might be. I still don't know exactly where Brent saw those tracks. But everything on this side of the world looks relatively relaxed. She's glancing off in the direction of the elephants. A beautiful female Nyala for all of our new viewers. One of the most attractive of all of the antelope species, with their beautiful, in the female's case, tannish coats and bold white stripes and very, very fluffy tails. And then, if you look carefully, there's actually a teenage boy at the back. He's sort of stuck halfway between getting his natural adult male colouring and the reddish colouring of the fawns and the females, or sorry, not the fawns, the lambs and the females. Now it's starting to look scruffy and a bit pubescent, but hasn't quite acquired the dark grey colour of an adult male. So within Nyala, they have the greatest sexual dimorphism of any of the antelope. The males are much, much larger. They're a completely different colour. They have horns, and they are much fluffier than the females. So the greatest sexual difference between males and females of any antelope. They are also where the divide happens linguistically for us in terms of naming. We call anything the size of a female Inyala or smaller. The male is called a ram, the female is called a ewe. So that is an Inyala ewe. Anything the size of a male Inyala or bigger automatically becomes a bull and a cow. So it is an Inyala bull and an Inyala ewe. That's where the confusion arises. I hope you're all writing this down because it does get a little bit tricky. And then beyond that, anything bigger, kudu bull, kudu cow, eland bull, eland cow, and so on. Gives me a chance to listen. The francolin are still chirping up off in the distance, but I don't think that is due to any kind of alarm calls. I think they're just being francolins. Right, well, I'm sure you are all very curious to hear how Brent's tracking has gone. Let's head across onto the back of Wendy to find out.
Sorry guys, I'm just listening to the radio. So Shadow is giving us a real run around at the moment. We've got tracks going in all directions. I'm just listening. She's here somewhere close by. Now, I was walking with William, Aubrey's tracker. We found her tracks heading back to the north. Now Herbie's found her tracks cutting to the east. Seems like she's been all around here overnight. I just want to listen for a second to hear if there are any alarm calls. Standing by, I copied that message. Copy will do. Okay, so Herbie's asked us to drive the power lines. He's asked Aubrey to drive Vuetela access. So we're very confident she's around here. Now, we're hoping that she disturbs some more Impala. She did earlier. That's how they jumped from the tracks that were from much earlier last night into this area, because all the Impala were alarm calling. And now she's crossed on top of Herbert and Aubrey's tracks. So these are really fresh tracks. Okay, I'm just going to go really slowly. Standing by. He thinks he might have her. Herb, I'm on the power lines approaching your Morva. Where do you want me to come from? Okay, copy. I'll be there now. So he thinks he had a brief visual of her through the bush. So we're going to try and get a little bit closer now. There we go, William's signaling, come faster! Okay, and then get there. Thanks, Will. Been a serious team effort of some time to produce this cat. Hopefully she doesn't get away before we see Herbie. You looking for Herbie, Dave? Herb, do you have my mobile audio? Confirm I must cut in the block from where I am. Okay, so I've got to pick my way through this very difficult area now. Okay, so Herbie's around here somewhere, and she headed more due east, so that's what we're going to do. Unfortunately, one has to pick the spot to meander through these trees. Oh, this looks like a good spot. Not too thick. I've actually followed shadow on many occasions through this particular area. Sounds like she was chasing warthog when they found her. Okay, so now, fortunately I know this area quite well. So, I've come through here because there's a relatively open patch through the crest of this block. As I say, relatively open.